Welcome to Stock Chart Talk, day trading and swing trading chart talk based on the chart setups provided by ActiveTraderSetups.com, Active Trader Setups Trading and Charting Package. We'll be discussing setups and charts presented by the trend shift and retracement setups on the charting system. Purpose of our videos are to explain the charting system from Active Trader Setups Trading Package, where you can find multiple day price advances for day trading and swing trading. There's basically 4 setups to learn. The trigger prices are right on the charts real time, like you see here, for a reversal and for a continuation or a reversal or retracement. These are always on the chart. The charts you see in the window will be our algo charts on the various settings, 10, 25, 50. We may look at a 100 or 200 or greater, and these are based on our algorithm charts. Each dot represents a movement, an increment, and each dot is connected with a dotted line as it's closed. Where you see this dot over here, it's floating, it's not complete yet. We don't know if it's going down further or back up, and when it completes the next segment, it will connect with the dot and then you'll move forward. What you see to the left here is just a support resistance chart. It's based on the regular candles. It's a daily chart, and the pink lines represent old lows where it's bounced and gone back up. The green lines represent old highs where it's rejected and gone back down. Old support, old resistance. They're always important, even on the algo charts. You got a chart setting up, regardless of how strong it may be, when it runs into resistance, it may reject. So you always want to know where you're at on that. Each chart, including the normal candle chart, has our momentum indicator. We call it the power momentum alert. We're looking for 2 blue ones to indicate we got to break out on momentum. If we get them together, we're probably coming out of consolidation. Sometimes you'll get 1 blue one and the other end will remain yellow, and when it again receives a movement down, it would indicate momentum building in that upward direction that was already going on in this daily chart. It isn't based on whatever direction it's going in. It's not directional. But normally if you have a upper blue one and you don't have a lower blue one, and you pick up the lower blue one, you're in an uptrend and you're gaining upward momentum, and vice versa. But when they go off together, it's non-directional. You can look at the chart and of course tell what the direction is. We use these same indicators on our algorithm charts. So the blue ones, or the blue lines that are represented by these ones, we don't have the ones out in the column just for space sake, but you can easily look at the chart. When it's yellow, it's in the middle, and then when it's blue at the top, you'll see a blue line at the maximum area or blue line at the bottom. And this chart right here went 2 blues at the same time right here as it picked up momentum. Well, you can see it did pull back before it went on up, and that's a dollar pullback. We're looking at a 50 algo chart. Advancements move 50-cent increments. Pullbacks pull back 2 increments before they'll plot. So that's a full dollar pullback. The overlay, we take our blue ones and overlay on the chart for easily to glance and see where you're at. Also, these gauge this momentum as the stocks go up or down. And you can read them many different ways. Back here, as this stock went up, it actually broke above our blue one, and that put this stock in a super strong uptrend. Also, our secondary indicator We have a force indicator that goes green for bullish, red for bearish, and neutral in between is yellow. Just like our yellow here. Everything's color coordinated. Then we have our edge indicator. If it's red, it's strong bearish. If it's yellow, it's moved away from the most bearish. And if it shifts our neutral zone, which is a 0 line, shifts to blue, then we're coming out of the bearish area, getting more bullish, and then when we go to green, we're maxed out on the bullish. Now that don't mean it don't keep going up, as you can see here. We were green on the edge indicator, and as we chopped around, it actually came down some and then worked its way back up. You had this big run, but it never went green again. That's not a requirement. It's a tool for when it does reach that area. This particular stock we're looking at is XPO, and we see that based on our chart, we have an end-of-day scanner. When you're running scans, you have to get something intraday. You have to be there exactly when it happens to pick it up. We have custom proprietary indicators that doesn't require that at the end of the day. It can look back and know that yesterday at the close of business, the chart was in the green zone, as shown by this green line, and that sometime during the day and still at the close of business, it had done the red zone crossover, is what we call it. We changed from green zone, which is long bias, to short bias. That happened on the 25 algo and the 50 algo on XPO. I'm going to bring in a bigger chart and we're going to dissect this down. First, we're going to look at the 50. Two things we look at is we look for a setup coming in the first two dots from the top. Before that happens, we want to get this blue line to turn yellow to signify a early trade, like right here. This stock, as it sold off, and before it got to the second algo plot, it had already turned blue in between those lines. That is an indicator we use for an early trade if you like to do counter trends, and we don't want to take one until that happens. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes it can go way up here and never turn blue. So over here on this particular chart, that did not happen on the way down at the open this morning, the day of this chart. On the 25 it did. We're going to bring in a bigger chart to take a closer look at the 25. This is today's chart right here, started the day. This was the open this morning. And you'll learn in some of our other videos the price action we expect around the levels. Now this is a pretty much sideways chop. For several days. This is the 13th of July back here, the 16th, the 18th, and so forth. Several days. So we got a chop. This is not a trend. Can't be a trend shift unless you have some kind of upward momentum, and we just been sideways here and range bound in this stock in about a $4 or $5 range. And you can see back here when it did get to selling, it picked up the force to the downside. It had the momentum with the two blue ones here, came in simultaneously as this changed directions and we went down. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a squeeze or consolidation. Right here, momentum picked up, and this had been a consolidation period in here, and the momentum picked up, and you can see that it crossed over on the edge above the 0 line, went from yellow to blue as well. Shortly thereafter, it went didn't lose any ground right here. Even as it pulled back, didn't lose a lot of ground, but it gave the momentum of the two blue ones, the two blue lines, and here we went yellow to blue on both as we were going up. So as I told you, these are not directional biased. You look at the chart to find the direction. So we did a cross and opened up on the two blue lines, and we got blue on both over on our chart overlay, and we're going up. Even the pullback, we still respect the strength of what these two blue lines are telling us. We also, on this pullback, we didn't pull back very far, and we didn't turn yellow on our edge. So that gives us more confidence that this stock is going to maintain this uptrend. And on this particular day, it did. It turned from here around 101, and by the end of the day, it was up in the 103 area. Now, this is the next morning. Actually, went high 103s there. The day we're looking at right here, this was the opening bar at 104.81. Immediately turned over, but you notice when it turned over, this did not go yellow. So if we get yellow, blue to yellow, or from the top heading back down, and this is a zero line that's on that chart there, if we can get that before we plot the second dot, that gives strength to the downside. That did not happen. This is on a 50. We're going to go over to our 25 now. Here's our 25 at the open this morning. It ran up, gapped up, actually opened right about here, 104, and then went up about 50 cents rapidly like stocks do. And this stock was in that uptrend the day before, and it was a pretty strong uptrend. It had got out above our blue line, and we had our edge maxed out down here. We had our momentum blue upper area, just like I was teaching you earlier, and the lower blue joined in, and the momentum increased. When the lower blue joined the already there upper blue, the momentum increased. And when the momentum increased, if you get into this big run up here, take the opposite side of your trade. If this lower blue line, the harder it pushes away from you, the stronger this uptrend is. So you got out above the line here, and within two dots we were starting to get a pretty good fall away rather than a level like here. We got the push, and it gave an explosive afternoon. Now this morning it gapped up, turned back down. Here's our first plot, here's our second plot. By the close of the second plot, we were already yellow. So we crossed this zero line somewhere between these two dots. So this is an early reversal. It's already pulled back. This is a 25 algo chart, and it also gives that to you down here in the bottom. We pulled back 50 cent to 75 cent range when that happened. We also lost our lower blue one at the time that happened. So we got momentum, looked like we're headed down. I don't mind taking an early trade if this happens, and only if this happens, somewhere between the top and the second dot. If it's after the second dot, it don't mean that much to me. We're headed on down now, and this thing got stronger and stronger, and by the time we crossed our trend shift line, which has nothing to do with the short biased, just because we crossed the line, we want to turn that line green to red. But the momentum was so strong when it came down through here, our edge indicator went all the way max to the bottom on the bearish side. Also, even before we crossed, our force indicator right here had gone to bearish. So there's some momentum involved in this stock, and it pushes hard. Then it gains the two blue ones, two blue lines, come in here. We turn yellow to blue. We got more momentum. This pushes away hard, which is reading more momentum to the downside. It just never bounced. A lot of times we'll come down and we'll get close to here. You'll see a stock that'll go back and revisit. And I love the setup when it comes down. It doesn't have all this red, and it does a revisit up here. Then it comes down, because I'll short it right here on the bounce up, because I'm expecting it to fail. Now I'm not going to short it here if this line is back blue again. In this case, it had so much momentum, it just kept selling. It did trigger the trend shift to red, and before it plotted green to red, right here, 108.80, that was at 10:11 a.m. right here when it crossed. If you're in a consolidation, many times you won't get the two blue lines simultaneously because they were both yellow. They're running together right here. When you can get them both simultaneously, tying in with the exact shift red to green, we probably have had an uptrend big enough for the system to read it like we want to read it. When we scan for this crossover red to green, we don't even scan for anything short of not having the two blue ones simultaneous cross. So this crossed over just like it's supposed to, red to green, two blue lines come in simultaneously. It's already biased to the downside. That don't mean it still can't bounce and go back up and revisit this red line and head back down. And keep in mind, that is about $1 bounce back up to this area, so that can happen. In this case, it was so strong to the downside, it just kept on falling. Everything is maxed to the downside, and this stock ended up running from this point of 101, almost 102, all the way down to $98. That's a $4 move, and from back up here, you're talking about from 104 to $98. You don't have to trade big share size to make big money. Just have a plan and stick to the plan, and if the things are not in your favor, don't take the trades. We're going to look at just a couple of more charts. We're not going to get into deep discussions, just to show you more about how the charts work. This is one that triggered 25 and 50 today as well, and this trigger was not straight up from the top like the last chart. It just kind of chopped around here, grinding its way down, so it wasn't like an automatic, hey, we want to get involved. It didn't go yellow right here, and it chopped around, and you just wait on the trigger. Before this triggers, just like right now where this stock is coming up, it has a long watch posted on the chart here on the left, $110.62, which means when this plots 110.62, if it does that before it goes down any further, it will turn this red line to green. Since we have two yellow, we have yellow here, no blue, most likely that will give us a simultaneous blue lines just like you see back here, and we'll get a break to the upside. It could still just go down and never trigger. The 2x means that this is two algorithms away from triggering from the last closed price. So this dot plus two algorithms, which is a 25 algo chart, that's 50 more cents, will be the 110.62. And you can see the current price in the upper left hand corner is the last plot closed was 110.12. 110.12 plus two algos of 25 cents each is 110.62. Our projection charting is looking forward. If we go down or if we go up, what happens to our trend line, which is the red and green line? If it can turn it from red to green, opposite of what it may be at the present time, it will give you a 2x or a 1x box. If it says 1x, it'll say 2x as well. The 1x overrides. If it's just 2x, it will only have 2x in the box. This current bar reading is always the last plot. The next plot up is GZR for green zone, RZR for red zone. We'll talk about that on another video, but that's the next plot up or next plot down. So for this to actually plot and connect with the yellow dotted line requires 109.61. You don't have to mouse around looking, trying to figure stuff out. It's all on the charts for you. At all times, this box never leaves the chart. This one appears when it's applicable. these indicators are always here. So this is another stock that gave the trigger in advance of right here. So 50 cents above here, right around here, it gave a 2x short watch of 112.37. As it came down, it changed it to 1x when it triggers. This line is plotted on the chart when it turns from green to red. The price is plotted, the price, short trigger, what was in this box right over here, the date and the time, exactly when it happened, and until it turns this back green, it stays on the chart. So you can always go back and look at charts and learn as you trade. This stock got into this downtrend here, and you can see when it got the two blue lines, it got two blue here. We also were already in our force to the downside of 1 bar prior, so 25 cents before we triggered the line. We already had the force in, which the force had been in and out. It was warning, it was indicating down that it was going to go ahead and do this crossover. That don't mean you get in it early, because many times they will turn and go the other way. Wait on the trigger when you got a stock that's just ranging. When it did break down, it broke down very hard. This was at 11:03, this is 11:07, this is 11:30. So when it first broke, it broke pretty hard, another 25 cents, and then it lingered. The next 25 cents took 25 minutes. Don't get bored with your trade. By the time that 25 minutes passed and we got right here, now you got momentum growing because your upper blue line is pushing away. And we've crossed below this line. So we've got some momentum building. We want to ride this out. Now it takes it 20 more minutes from 11:33 to 11:47 to go another 25 cents. But then it went 25 cents in 1 minute, 25 cents in another 12 minutes, 25 cents. The next 25 cents took another 40 minutes. Now it probably chopped around in here with this floating yellow dot out here. Stay with your trade as long as nothing gave you any indication. Now right here, when by the time you got there, your yellow one went up. You had already right here, you lost your upper blue line. That's the first indication of momentum slowing down. Until you lose that, there's no reason to even think about getting out of this trade. More about how our charts work in the next videos coming up. I'm going to flash a couple more up here real quick. We're going to end this video. It's a good example of a chart that triggered, chopped around a bit, didn't have the strong momentum to the downside, but it did continue down just like the chart said it would all day. This is FGN, a slower selling ATR stock. It did not give the blue to yellow crossover down here, so I wouldn't take it early. By the time it gets here, it has gone to the force red, as well as we came in maxed out on the edge. I will go ahead and take this with the edge, even though I'm early, but understanding that when it gets way down here, it can easily return right back here and then go down again. That happens quite often. This was a forceful down sell, and once it got here, it just kept going, and then it picked up momentum as it turned the line green to red. Last chart we're going to look at, CRM. This was a bigger algo chart on a 50, and you can see from multiple days here on the bottom of the chart's got your days. This has been range bound in about a $5 range. It did get a little tighter here in this choppiness. So when you got these sideways charts, you don't go long because it went green. You don't go short because it went red. It's range bound, it's chopping, and we want to find a better chart. That's one thing we try to teach our traders. You're looking for the ideal setup of a trend shift, and if you can't recognize the trend and visually just see a trend line in your mind right on that chart, then you need to find another chart. This is a shorter time frame, 25 algo chart, it did have a downtrend. It did turn and have an uptrend. Now, I might not take this downtrend here for multiple reasons. One, it's been in a chop. I can find a better chart. I don't know it's going down. Also, we didn't get the double blue cross here. We didn't get two blue ones at one time. We got a lower blue one as it gained momentum in this direction. And it put the line goes away after your chart changes colors. So I probably wouldn't take this trade, but I would probably take this trade up here because we've gained the momentum back and we gave the chops that I expect going up, pulling back, so forth. Then it triggers long and it's holding. It's got the edge is above the zero line and it pretty much held it. It didn't pull back very far and then went right back to the green force, gave the two blue line shifts on the same trend shift from red to green, and it plotted the price on the chart. Even though it went up 25 cents, it pulled back 50 cents, and then it ran $1, $2, $3, $4. Now that was overnight from one to the next morning, and the last $1.50 was a gap up. Here's your day shift line right here. The next day, what did it do? It went up early. Now this is, remember, every chart we've looked at has been in a downtrend. This was an up market day that all this happened on. When this stock started down, here's our first dot, here's our second dot, and what happened right here? We went from all the way from green to yellow before we plotted the second dot. I'm not scared to take this trade up here because that's giving me a sign that I'm probably at least going back to here, and that gives me 50 cents for a cushion if it wants to bounce to try to stay in the trade. Well, it ended up, by the time it got that 50 cents, it went to the force red down here, and then the edge came in red by the time we crossed this line, and this just continued down just like the other stocks we looked at today. Even if you didn't take this stock until you got the two red bearish right here, you're talking about 147 to 145, a nice $2 move. Each of these dots represents a quarter. I'll also use, if you don't have a red line down here and this starts some little yellow movements and so forth, I'm going to be prepared that this is probably going to change directions, and I'm not going to let it move back far against me. In this case, it didn't give those wiggles as we were discussing there. Last chart of the night. Thanks for watching the videos. We'll be putting these out on a regular basis to learn this charting system. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel while you're here. Be sure to tune in to our Stock Chart Talk segments as they appear on our YouTube training channel for more information and training on our charting system. You could also go over to ActiveTraderSetups.com. Under products, you'll find a tutorial on this charting package. The charting package does include our bull and bear zone alerts and momentum scanners that run off standard candle charts, daily and weekly charts. They can be used intraday as well, 10 and 15 minute charts even. We also offer a Swing Trader Setups trading package, a standalone package that doesn't have the algo charts. It is strictly a momentum price action chart system with scanners for the bull and bear zone. You can run it intraday. Many free data plans with TD Ameritrade and so forth can be plugged into Ninja, and you can run that without a data plan cost. You can also, if you don't have that available to you, run from a free intraday data feed from Kinetic and get your daily and weekly bull and bear zone breaks right off of that and only have the cost of the charting package. This is a basic chart on a daily. You can run this exact same chart daily, 60 minute, 30 minute, 15 minute, and it gives the same lines we were talking about. It'll give the momentum, like right here, this gave a momentum increase when we already had the blue line at the top, and the blue line gained in at the bottom, joined along. It gave a momentum increase right here. It shows it on the chart as well, and that was on this bar. You make your watch list. It's a great way to build a good watch list and then you watch those stocks for the next several days if you're day trading or short-term swing trading, and you get a breakout like this for 3 days. Or back here you had the same thing, momentum joined in and it broke out and gave a multi-day run. To learn more about that charting package, watch for the Stock Chart Talk Swing Trading and Day Trading Bull Zone and Bear Zone alerts, brought to you by Chart Setups from SwingTraderSetups.com. That system also comes with support and resistance charts. Right now, we're running at the end of the day, today's Bull Zone, Bear Zone momentum alerts are coming out at the end of the day in a video. It's actually a live stream on YouTube, but it also is being recorded so you can watch it at any time. It's a silent video. It just runs through the charts like I just showed you, of the charts that showed up on the scanners at the end of the day. We got that set up to be automatically run those charts through there in alphabetical order. So it'll give you a chance to get a look at some charts and see what they do for the next few days off of that video.